Okay, everybody, welcome back. We're going to do chapter 4, which is titled Take Me With You for Geronimo Stilton, Lost Treasure of the Emerald Eye. We'll see how many chapters we can get in. I'm hoping to do this in 3 parts. So here we go. Take me with you. On my way home, I stopped by to say hello to my favorite nephew, Benjamin. He's a cute little guy with tiny flappy ears. "Uncle, read me a story," he cried when he saw me, so I sat down in the big comfy chair in the den. Ben loved stories. When he was younger, he always zonked out before I had a chance to finish my tales. That's why I dedicated my book, Stilton's Cheesy Tale of Tiny Mice, to him. To Ben, I wrote, "May you stay awake long enough to finish this book." Today, I can hardly believe my little nephew is already 9 years old. Oh, for real, I have a 9-year-old. What happened? When? I remember when he was just a squeaky little thing, drinking cheese sauce from a baby bottle. "You're going on a trip?" Ben asked when he heard about my plans. "Oh, please, please, please take me with you, Uncle. I can be your assistant. I can carry your notebooks. And I can sharpen your pencils with my cat-tooth pencil sharpener," he pleaded. "Sorry, Ben," I said, ruffling his fur. "Maybe next time when you're a little older." Then I laid my right paw on my heart and tugged at my whiskers with my left paw. This is a salute that we mice use on special occasion. It means that the heart of the two mice who love each other will always stay connected. Ben does the same thing in the photo it shows. Chapter 5. Anything missing? 15 pounds of extra sharp cheddar, 80 boxes of mac and cheese, 10 tubs of Swiss. That's a lot of Swiss. Although 80 boxes of mac and cheese is a bit extreme too, but 9 bags of nacho cheese chips, unsalted. Oh yeah, that's a lot of sodium. The next morning, I stood on the deck of the Lucky Lady, reading out a list of our supplies. What a mess. Trap filled up the water tank. I instructed my cousin, but instead of filling the water tank, he poured water into the fuel tank. Oh, "What are you doing?" I squeaked. "I think you had better lay off the extra sharp. It seems to be affecting your brain." I turned to my sister, Thea. "Run and get me the compass," I ordered down at Boats, Moats, and Beyond. "Ask to see the owner, Squeaky LaRue, also known as the Squeak. He's a friend of mine, so he should give you a discount. You can't miss him. He's tall, thin, gray mouse with a tiny so fury. Oh, no. With a tail so furry, you could use it to dust every room in your mouse hole." Okay. Just then, I noticed Trap talking to the young ship rat on the boat next to ours. "That's right, my young rat friend," he whispered. "Don't tell anyone. We're looking for something, but I can't tell you what. It begins with a T and ends with an E. That's right. It's on an island." Quick as a cat at a mouse convention, I leaped up and yanked Trap away by the tail. "Are you going to blurt out the whole story about the treasure?" I hissed. Trap gave me an innocent smile. Did I mention a treasure? "There are a lot of words that begin with T and end with E. You know," he smirked. "Telephone, for example. Or how about tic-tac-toe?" I banged my head against the side of the ship. By 6 o'clock that night, we had finished loading. I rushed to Rat's Authority, the best store in town, for sporting goods. "Can you help me, please?" I said to Scratch, the mouse who owned the place. "I want to get everything I would need for a long sea voyage, and I'm in a big rush, so if you could hurry." "Well, tickle me with cat's fur feather, if it isn't Geronimo Stilton, the newspaper mouse," Scratch cried. What an honor. He had began to drag out everything in the entire store. My head was spinning. There were 10 pairs of waterproof underwear, a floppy cheddar-colored straw hat that squeaked if you stayed out in the sun too long, and a life raft shaped like a slice of cheese, and a 5-foot-long cracker. "I also need a suitcase," I said to Scratch, "or better yet, a big trunk." "I've got just the thing for a sharp mouse like you, Mr. Stilton," he remarked, his eyes gleaming. "Follow me." He led me to the back of the store, where he unlocked the door to a small room. Then, like the famous magician Harry Ratini, he lifted a silk cloth with a flourish. There stood a trunk as tall as the circus mouse on stilts. It was covered in bright yellow leather that glowed in the dark. It was as wide as the giant from Rat and the Beanstalk, and as long as the line for cheese Danish at the bakery on Sunday morning. "Isn't it beautiful?" asked Scratch. I nodded and carefully lifted the lid. Holy cheese! You could fit a sumo mouse inside. I spotted several coat hangers made of cheesecloth and a whole shelf just for hats. There was a shiny cat tooth comb and a wire brush for tough whiskers. The trunk also had a space for office supplies, paper, pens, paperweights, a tiny, tiny secret compartment. You name it. "I'll take it," I squeaked. "I knew you would like it, Mr. Stilton. This is the real deal," he beamed, running his paw over the trunk. "It's just the thing for an adventurous sea-going mouse such as yourself. Wish you could take me along." Geronimo Stilton, fearless sailor of the high seas. I thought, had a nice ring to it. I just might enjoy this trip after all. Chapter 6. First Dawn at Sea. The cool breeze blows in off of the sea, and that salty smell of seaweed. I was starting to get into the sailing thing. I was so relaxing, sort of like sitting in Great-Grandma Tanglefur's rocking chair, holding the tiller of the Lucky Lady in my paw. I stared out over the ocean waves. It was dawn, and the sun was just coming up, pale as a slice of Swiss cheese. We had just left the harbor, but I felt as if I had been sailing all my life. I was wearing a bright yellow windbreaking jacket with matching yellow pants and my new yellow hat. Can you guess what my favorite color is? Yep, there's nothing like a little yellow to cheer up a mouse. It is the most popular color on our island. We have yellow cars, yellow schools, and yellow airplanes. In fact, one year even Santa Mouse wore a yellow suit instead of a red one. My nephew, Ben, wasn't too crazy about that, though. I smiled. I missed Ben so much. Funny how such a small mouse could give you such a big heartache. My daydreams were interrupted by Trap. He appeared on deck, munching on a bag of nacho cheese chips. Trap's already eating. He can't be too concerned. "Hey there, cousin," he squeaked with his mouth full. "Want some?" "Be careful," I warned. "Don't get any grease on the deck." "You're such a worrywart," he mumbled, laying his greasy paw right on the deck. I closed my eyes and counted to 10. "Just bring me my chart," I sighed. "I need to see if we are on course for Treasure Island." "Hey, no problemo, my little cousin," squeaked Trap, waving a little buoy at me. He did a little dance. "Look out," I shrieked. "You almost stepped on my glasses." I broke out in a cold sweat. Without my glasses, I couldn't tell the difference between a slice of mozzarella and a hunk of cheddar. Why, oh why, had we brought him along? I think this is chapter 7. I think I've lost count in fairness. But it's fresh clams, anyone? Fresh clams, anyone? It was evening, and the red sun sat on the ocean like a cherry on top of a piece of cheesecake. Up in the sky was fluffy clouds of whipped cream floated around. With a delicious view, I sighed. But just as I was beginning to enjoy it, I heard a mouse screaming, "Yahoo! That rotten stove is trying to kill me!" It was my cousin's voice. Thea and I rushed to help him. "What happened?" "What is it?" we squeaked together. Trap was leaping around on one paw. "This rotten stove keeps jumping up and down like a teenage mouse at a Wild Whisker concert." Shrieking, my cousin, massaging his toes. "I burned my paw with the clam sauce." He slumped onto the padded sofa to check out his toe. "Maybe you two can set the table at least," Trap continued. "Well, you've been up on deck enjoying the fresh air. I've been busting my tail down here." He closed his eyes and yawned. "Must I do everything?" I gave the clam sauce a good sniff as Thea mixed it into the pasta. "Now I know why in medieval times they poured boiling oil on their enemies from the castle walls," whined my cousin. He cradled his burnt paw protectively. "Why, Trap, I didn't know you were so cultured," I remarked, filling my plate. My cousin smirked. "What culture? I got that from a cartoon on TV," he scoffed. You can find everything on TV, you know. Yes, of course you can, I answered absent-mindedly. I sniffed at the sauce again. Are you sure these clams are fresh? What do you mean fresh? Of course they're fresh, Trap insisted. Cross my heart. It's just that they smell sort of like a skunk at a cheap perfume counter, I offered. My cousin jumped off of the sofa. Are you calling me a liar? He shouted. I told you they were fresh as fresh can be. If you don't believe me, fine. I guess you just enjoy hurting my feelings. Thea grabbed a slice of bread and headed for the stairs. It's my turn to stand watch, she chirped, racing away. I hesitated for a moment, then began to eat very slowly. I don't think I'll have any clams after all. I lost my appetite, said Trap, nibbling some bread and cheese. At 2 o'clock that morning, I woke up with a horrible stomach ache. I dashed to the bathroom. My glasses dangled off of my snout. A second later, I tripped over the bath mat, banged my snout on the medicine cabinet, and plopped onto the toilet. Suddenly, I had a horrible thought. Could it be the clams that had made me sick? Just then, the bathroom door opened wide. Looking half asleep, Trap peered into the bathroom. Then he covered his nose with both paws. What are you up to? Building some kind of stink bomb? He coughed. Thea woke up by all the noise, joining us. She sized up the situation in an instant. Spit out the truth, Trap, demanded my sister. Where did you really buy those clams? My cousin was silent. He stared down at the carpet. Oh, well, I bought them in the fish department, at the frozen food counter, he confessed, with a guilty look. Frozen, I squeaked. But you told me they were fresh clams. Trap stood up straight. Well, yes, of course they were fresh at one time. The frozen clams were a special offer. The mouse who sold them to me last month told me to eat them that same day or they would spoil. But of course, I didn't take him seriously. You know those sales mice. They always tend to extravagate, squeaked Trap. Grr, sales mice, my paw, I cried. Do you realize you could have killed me with that poison? You should get a job as a chef at a cafeteria for cats. I tried to grab him, but I ended up stumbling over a roll of toilet paper instead. Why, oh why, have we brought him along, I asked. A mystery on board. At dawn, on the 16th day of sailing, we were almost halfway to Treasure Island. After my watch, I went down to the galley, where we had stored all of our food. That's when I discovered the breadcrumbs on the floor. Strange, very strange, I thought. The trail of crumbs led to a barrel full of apples. I lifted the barrel lid. Inside, I found 5 chewed-up apple cores. Did we have a stowaway on board? I decided not to say anything to the others. Not yet, anyways. If I was wrong, they would make fun of me for the rest of the trip. The next night, when everyone was asleep, I sprinkled some baby powder in front of the kitchen door. Then I tied a piece of thread to the doorknob. Early the next morning, I went down to check. Just as I thought, the thread had been broken. Yep, it sure looked like someone had been sticking their paws in the old cheese bit jar. Then I noticed the paw prints in the powder. How odd. They were very, very small. Could they belong to a dwarf mouse? I decided I had to do something before the little thief ate us right out of houseboat and home. That night, I slept with my lucky baseball bat by my side. It was a present from Slug Rat Jones, also known as Sluggy, an old rat friend of mine who played professional baseball. If that stowaway came after me, I'd be ready for him. It was 1 o'clock in the morning when I finally heard creaking sounds coming from the kitchen. I put on my glasses, then I grabbed a flashlight with my right paw and the bat with my left. When I got downstairs, the sneaky thief was opening the fridge. I tiptoed towards him and switched on the light. Aha! I cried, ready to strike. Then my mouth opened. It was my nephew Benjamin, happily munching on a cheese chew. Hello, Uncle, he squeaked, flinging his paws around my neck. He kissed me on the tip of my snout. Aren't you glad to see me? But why? But how? But when? I mean, what are you doing here? I stammered. I promised to make myself useful, he cried. I swept the deck, fold your clothes, stack your hats. Did you know I was a champion stacker? I got an A+ in stacking at Little Tails Academy when I was in kindergarten, and I'll be your secretary too. So when you get back, you can write a wonderful book. There was only one thing to do. I gave him a giant mouse hug. I love you so much, Benjamin, I said, and I am very glad you are here.